All right, everyone. We have Rick Ramirez on today. He is out of Texas and he's a fellow house hacker. So I just wanted to bring him on to tell us a little bit about his story. How you doing, Rick?
Good, Paul. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So you've moved from California to San Antonio, Texas, and you are now
Yes,
house
sir.
hacking. So tell us a little bit
Yes.
about yourself and what brought you to Texas.
Well, I'm a truck driver by day. I started doing that about 4 years ago, and just was saving money at that time. And just I've lived in Southern California my whole life. My kids were older and out of the house, and I just wanted to change for myself. So decided to come here. Never even visited San Antonio before I moved here. Just packed up my pickup truck and drove here from California. And I was already talking to a lender before that. So excuse me, a realtor. So I connected with somebody and was hoping that maybe I can get into a house.
Gotcha. So, let's jump right into this house hack and
Sure.
what some of the challenges that you had when looking for a house, because I think you said mentioned you were trying to look for multifamily first, but it just didn't work, so you're in a single family.
Yeah, it was when the market was still at its height, right before prices started going up. So I was looking for 2 to 4 unit. Part of it was out of my price range, or they were just going too quickly and over asking, and so it just didn't work out for me. So I just started looking at single families as well. My mindset was if I can get a 4 bedroom, then I rent the other 3 rooms out. It should be enough to cover my mortgage. So that's what I ended up doing. Got the house that I'm in now, and with the help of my realtor. Um, and yeah, I've been here 2 years now and house hacking, renting the additional rooms out.
So how long did it take you to get all three of those rooms rented out?
It took a little bit of time. So, I was new to this,
Mhm.
didn't know what I was doing, and so I initially started with I'm living in one room, and I started with the Airbnb. I when I moved here, I bought beds and different furniture and things like that, just kind of basic stuff, and put them in the rooms. And I threw the master bedroom on Airbnb because I figured it's big, it's got its own separate bathroom that's going to be more appealing to people on Airbnb. So I did that. I had a few customers, and that was when I got one of my first longer term rentals, and I just kind of shifted them over to one of the other rooms. And then there was a lady that was here a few months. She didn't stay long. And then I found the next guy through Airbnb too, and he ended up staying for over a year.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so it's been good. It's worked well.
So you're putting all your rooms on Airbnb, even though like some of them are like longer term stays? Is that how you're marketing?
It's mostly the master bedroom. I've had one of the other rooms. Um, Actually, let me go back. My first um full-time renter I found on Furnish Finder, and that's the
Okay.
only time Furnish Finder has done anything for me in the 2 years I've been on it. The
Okay.
very first guy, it was a student from Houston that was coming out here for an internship, and he found me on there. So he stayed with me for almost a year, and then the other 2 bedrooms, um, one of them, one additional I did have on Airbnb, just until I could find a renter. But for the most part, it's been just the master bedroom.
All right. So you mentioned that you still furnished these rooms, even though, so you didn't have like just an empty room that you had people moving stuff into. You have everything in
No,
there for them. All right.
the basics. I have a queen bed, a dresser, and a TV, a smart TV, so they can, watch whatever they want in their room.
All right. So do you think are you able to charge a little bit more than like average rent since you're furnishing the whole entire room for them essentially? Or do you price it right around with everybody else?
I think I'm a little bit higher than some of the people. It's kind of like I'm probably at the top, but I feel like when I look at different listings, most of them seem to be furnished nowadays. Like
Okay.
I don't see very many that are unfurnished.
Hmm.
But the part of town I'm in is kind of the um, it's closer to all the amenities, and it's newer buildings, and it's like backs up to a green belt. So it's like one of my renters now decided to come out here even though it was a little further from his job because he said, well, it's I like the area. So that's a part of what the process of what takes place for that.
And you mentioned, I think you just mentioned you're right off of public transportation. Is that what you're saying or no?
No,
What's
not
the
really
green,
public
what's the green
transportation.
belt?
Greenbelt is basically behind my backyard. There's no houses. It's
Oh,
just,
okay.
like trees and open land and stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, when you went to vet your first tenants, how do you vet them being on Airbnb and what are you looking for out of a tenant?
I'm not too picky, but I do run background and credit. Airbnb, no, of course, it's through the platform, but when they
Yep.
stay, I'm using Rent Ready to collect rent, and through Rent Ready you can run the background checks and everything too. So I am running the background checks and credit checks, and I'm not necessarily being as kind of strict on the qualifications as if I rented a house out. Because I understand I've been there actually. I've rented rooms out before myself. But I just want to see what's on there and kind of talk with the person about it and just kind of meet with them beforehand to see how they are, where they're coming from, that kind of thing.
Right, because you're a roommate now. You're living together, so you want to make sure those
Correct.
people are people that you want to live with as well, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what about a year and a half, not quite 2 years of doing this, right? Is that about where we're at?
No, we're 2 years now.
We're 2 years
I
in?
moved. Yeah, I moved in April of 22, so we just passed 2 years.
There we go. So, from when you started this house hack journey till now, what are some of like the biggest things that you've learned, that you might have improved on?
Let's see. I don't know about what I learned, but what I still need to improve on is just
Okay.
kind of being uh like for example in the kitchen, I need to start labeling some counter space for people or stuff like that because it kind of can get more um everybody's stuff is all together and it's kind of confusing. So I need to get better at that personally. Um and I don't know, maybe setting up a checklist for people to share bathroom cleaning duties because I'm doing it all myself right now. So
Yeah. So like a lot of those upfront expectations when people are moving in to set
exactly.
set the ground rules, it's kind of hard to backtrack that once they're there for a couple months. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean it's a learning journey and you learn more and more as you go. But you're essentially covering your mortgage, right? It's darn near covering your
Yes.
mortgage.
Hmm. Yes.
So what are your plans since now you're house hacking? I'm sure you're not going to want to house hack your entire life, right? Are you planning on moving up from here and doing like what's your next plan?
Um, that's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay.
I'm talking to different lenders. I'm meeting different investors. I met a guy at another investor meeting out here, and he told me that he was a former truck driver and that he has been able to retire, and he's a young guy too, from real estate. And so he's trying to convince me to put the house out on like a either an Airbnb or a midterm model and just kind of, you know, put all the fixing, so to speak, on the house, make it look nice and put it on there. And I want to, but I don't know if I'm ready for that just yet. Um, so I'm not sure yet. I would love to get into multifamily, even small apartment complexes. So I'm trying to make some phone calls to owners, build some relationships with different investors in the area. So that's what I'm trying to focus on now.
Okay. And in the meantime, I'm sure you're saving, right? Since you have almost your mortgage paid for, right?
I'm trying to, but
Yeah.
it's difficult sometimes. You
Yeah.
need stuff for the house or, fix it up and that kind of thing. So,
Gotcha. And you being a truck driver, how are you still home every night or are you gone multiple days in a row? How does that work?
yeah, so the position I have is called a regional driving position. So I do go out of town, but I'm not gone more than a few days at a time. And my particular job, I get to be home on the weekend. So during the week, it's kind of everywhere. I don't know from day to day where I'm going to be, but I know I'm going to be home typically Friday evening for the weekend.
And so far you haven't had any issues with your roommates when you've been gone and or anything like that?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Have you had to move someone in while you were like gone for 3 days, or were you able to schedule that type of thing out so that people are moving in when you're there?
I haven't had a whole bunch of that. Most of them have been pretty stable, but what I do is, I try to meet them beforehand before they come. So it's or before they move in. So they'll come and we'll meet in person and they can see the place. But as far as moving in, it can be whenever because I have the digital lock on the front door. So I can just assign them a code and they can come in.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess the more and more things that you can automate, the more freedom you have. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, as far as the switch from California to Texas, did it get
Mhm.
cheaper? I don't know what part of California you were living in. So did it get cheaper for you?
Southern California.
Okay. So it got cheaper for you then, right?
It did. I wasn't a homeowner at the time, so and I wasn't paying rent at that moment because in the 2 years that I was truck driving before I moved here, I was basically living out of my truck because I was gone most of the time anyway. So when I first started, it was over the road, so I was living in my truck all the time, and then it was regional position, and so most of the time I just slept in my truck during the week and maybe stayed with my daughter or something like that, or my brother on a day off.
Yeah, and now that this has a whole lot to do with house hacking, what were you doing before you became a truck driver?
Many things.
Yeah.
I've been the last job I had, I was a bookkeeper, and then I was like customer service, and then I was in banking for 10 years and all kinds of stuff.
All right. So, and then, I mean, we all have this aha moment, or you were watching
Hmm.
YouTube and everything.
Right.
Where did you find house hacking and what like sparked that interest to actually do this?
Um, it was probably just bigger pockets because when
Yeah.
I first found out about real estate many years ago when I was in banking, but I didn't have the mindset or the know-how to do it at that time. And so when I started truck driving, I knew I was going to just try to save as much money as possible, binging podcasts, and that's when I heard the term house hacking. I mean, I probably would have done it before without the term. I actually, when I first was going through a divorce, I was renting a room out in California, and there was an older guy, and he was basically doing the same thing. He rented out all his rooms and worked at Costco, and not the highest paying job, and he had a big, beautiful home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you're getting your roommates to pay off the house for you. I mean, what's better than that? I mean,
Yeah,
there are downsides, of course. I don't know how many of you've had, but you have to give up a lot of privacy when you're house hacking. I don't
right.
know if it helps you being on the road, but have you felt like this isn't for me at any point, or are you completely comfortable at this point doing it?
No. I mean, it's a big house.
Yeah,
What am I going to do by myself in a big 4 bedroom house? So
yeah.
sometimes it feels like it's a little bit too much upkeep for me, but I'm making do because I'm the one. I'm not hiring a somebody to clean it or anything. I'm just cleaning up myself as I go.
All right. And two bathrooms, is that right?
Two and a half. So
Two and a
there's a
half.
half
Okay.
bath downstairs,
Oh,
and
that could help too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking in the future. I've already talked to a friend of mine of maybe even building a fifth room downstairs because there's big open space that I'm not even using, and possibly even turning that half bath into a three-quarter bath, adding a shower in there. So that's something I'm considering for the future.
Yeah, that would definitely be ideal, and um, that would be another room you could rent out, Airbnb or whatever you want to do with it. So that's, I mean, that would definitely get your you'd be cash flowing living there then. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, awesome. So we found each other, even though we didn't meet. We found each other a little bit after we went to the One Rental at a Time conference, and there's a
Yeah.
bunch of people there. Never linked up, and I think you started following me on what Instagram. Where did you find me?
It was either Instagram or YouTube. I don't remember who it was,
Yeah,
but somebody else that I started following from the event was following you or on your show or something. Maybe it was
gotcha.
Financial Firefighter.
Ah, yeah,
But somebody was, and then that's how I found your page too.
awesome. Yeah, and I mean, so many like-minded people there, and you got to think you're doing something that most people aren't willing to do is putting you in a better financial situation. But when you go to those events, I don't know how you felt, but I'm like, wow, I am small fish here. Like so much
Yeah,
smaller than everybody else, even though you're really
right.
making a move that most people aren't willing to make. So,
But what I did like about the event and why I felt like they say the phrase find your tribe. I feel like I found my tribe with this group, you included, of course, is that everybody's so supportive.
Yeah.
there's no people talking about, look at me, I'm flashy driving this car or whatever. It's just regular people just trying to make a better life for themselves. And that's what I really connected with.
Yeah, that's what brought me to Zuber's channel as well, is just he's not flashy. He just tells it how it is. He's not trying to hit the YouTube algorithm. He's just
Yeah,
honest about everything, and he brings so many different perspectives from so many people on. So,
right, right.
yeah. So Rick, if somebody did want to talk to you about house hacking, how would they contact you?
So I actually started because of Zuber's encouragement, and of course, Millennial Mike was very encouraging for me too, and gave me my first interview. I started a YouTube channel too. I got to get more consistent with it, but it's called Drive to Fi because I'm a truck driver trying to get to financial independence. So it's Drive TOFI, and I started an Instagram page for that too. So either one of those, YouTube or Instagram.
Awesome, and I'll put both of those in the description of this video as well to help people find you. And let's finish this off by, I mean, we're all binging content and looking for new ways to make money or ways to improve the things we are already doing. So, what are you watching, YouTube or podcast, that's really got your attention right now?
I think it's been more YouTube than podcast
Okay.
lately. But yeah, of course, Zuber, all the Avengers, so to speak, as they call themselves, Zuber, Millennial Mike, Dion I really connect with because he was also a former truck driver and just how he started and just kind of, built it up from the 1 to 4 units. So Dion's channel and also some multifamily like Cody and Christian's channel. I don't know if you're familiar with them,
No.
but they do they've basically seller financed their way to like over 200 units in apartment complexes. So I follow their channel as well too. But just I'm finding new things to follow every day, and just trying to broaden my knowledge in that way.
Well, Rick, that's great, and I really am glad you came on. I love talking to people about house hacking and showing everybody that this is, I want to make this more new normal. Like, so many people can do
Yeah,
this. And I just don't get that disconnect when you can live in an apartment or live with somebody when you're younger, then you buy your house and it's just like you can't do it anymore. I don't
right.
get it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Family comes involved in it too. Like I
Sometimes,
said,
yeah.
my kids are grown and I'm not married anymore, so it's just me. So why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Rick.
All right, thank you, Paul.